No, I want to get in here.
No, I'm not getting in that damn lake water.
Then I'm getting in.
No, you're not.
I want to.
Okay, we gotta wait for your mommy to come for that. I don't know how to swim that good.
I can swim. I want to get out. I want to go to the park now. I'm not hungry. My mom's not. I don't want.
Let's go get Papa then so you can get in.
No, I don't want Papa. That's okay. I'm gonna be a good girl.
I told him you was I told him you a real good girl. They don't believe me.
Can you move?
You're not getting in that water, okay?
I want to.
No.
I'm not gonna be a good girl no more. And no good girl. I'm never gonna.
Do you want to go back to the park?
Yeah.
Okay, you can go back to the park, but you cannot get in that water. And don't start raising your voice, okay?
Why?
Because I told you I'm on this live and I don't want nobody to think you're a bad girl. Do you have to
I want to go now.
to the park?
No, I want to go to the pool.
Okay, we have to go get your swimsuit and everything.
No, I don't want my swimsuit.
Yes, you have to. Them kids have the part. See the sign right there? It says must have your swimsuit on.
I don't have one.
Yes, you do at home. It says you have to have floaties and you have to have a swimsuit on.
Get out. I don't want
Now, do you want to go back to the park or home? Which one? You want to go get your swimsuit?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go home. Get in the back. Get in your car seat.
I don't want to get in my car seat.
All right, y'all. We got to go.
The internet didn't just wake up messy. It woke up like somebody pressed record at the worst possible moment. Because now Karlissa Saffold is trending in not for what she said this time, but for what went down during what was supposed to be a calm, innocent outing with Pinkface. Yes. A park trip. You know, swings, slides, sunshine, kids laughing, not chaos, confusion, and a timeline full of people arguing like they just witnessed a live episode of Zeus Network drama in real life. But somehow, someway things went left and not just a little left, we're talking full detour off the highway into what just happened territory. Because the second clips from that outing started circulating, people didn't just watch. They started analyzing, zooming in, rewinding, and asking questions that nobody was prepared to answer. Now here's where it gets wild. Because one side of the internet is saying this was completely overblown, that people are reaching, exaggerating, and turning a simple moment into unnecessary drama, while the other side, oh, they are not letting it slide. They're pointing out details, tone, reactions, body language, basically treating the whole situation like it's a hidden scene from a reality show that accidentally leaked. At early and just like that, boom, the timeline splits. You got defenders saying, "You're always doing too much when it comes to her," and critics saying, "Nah, something about this didn't sit right." And once that divide starts, yeah, it doesn't calm down, it multiplies. Because now it's not just about what happened at the park. It's about what people think happened, what they believe it means, and how fast the narrative is shifting every 5 minutes. Memes start rolling in, reaction videos popping up, comment sections turning into debate arenas. And suddenly, what should have been a quiet moment outside turns into a full-blown internet storyline with more twists than a season finale. But here's the real question nobody can seem to answer. Was this just another case of the internet blowing something out of proportion? Or did that one outing reveal something people weren't supposed to notice? Because what happened next, yeah, that's where everything got even messier before. This whole situation flipped into chaos. Things around Karlissa Saffold were already loud, because let's be real, nothing connected to that circle ever stays quiet for long. The timeline was already full of opinions, reactions, and ongoing debates tied to Blueface and everything surrounding him. So the energy was already messy before the park outing even happened. At first, the outing itself looked normal. Just a casual day outside with Pinkface, something that should have passed by without any headlines or drama attached to it. No big announcements, no build-up, no expectation that anything unusual was about to happen. Just another everyday moment that nobody thought twice about at the beginning. But the internet doesn't leave moments alone, especially not moments involving people who are already under a spotlight. Because the second clips from that outing started circulating, everything changed, and what looked simple at first suddenly became something people wanted to look at a little closer. The videos weren't even long or dramatic at first glance. No shouting, no obvious conflict, nothing that immediately screamed that this is a problem. But that didn't stop the internet from doing what it always does: pausing, zooming, replaying, and trying to read into every small detail like it was hiding something bigger underneath. Some viewers brushed it off instantly, saying it was nothing, just a regular moment being turned into content for no reason, and that people were doing what they always do, reaching for drama where there isn't any. But not everyone saw it that way, because others started pointing out things they felt didn't sit right, small reactions, little details, moments that seemed off depending on how you looked at them. And suddenly, what was supposed to be nothing turned into something people couldn't stop talking about. And that's how it started building. Slowly at first, then faster. One post turned into 10, 10 turned into 100, and before anyone could step back and look at the full picture, the situation was already trending and pulling in opinions from every direction. Meanwhile, Karlissa Saffold didn't immediately jump in to respond. And just like every time there's silence in the middle of online drama, that silence didn't calm anything down, it made everything louder. Because when people don't get answers, they start creating their own. The speculation grew quickly. Some people started building narratives, others pushed back against those narratives, and suddenly the timeline wasn't just reacting to a clip, it was arguing over what that clip meant, what it showed, and what might have been happening behind the scenes. At the same time, people began connecting it to past situations, bringing up old moments, previous controversies, and using those as context to explain what they thought they were seeing now, even if the connection wasn't fully clear. And once that starts happening, the story gets bigger than the moment itself. Now it wasn't just about a park outing anymore. It became part of a larger storyline, one that people felt like they were piecing together in real time, even though nobody had the full picture. And the more people talked, the more intense the conversation became, because now it wasn't just curiosity, it was expectation. People wanted clarification, a response, something to either confirm what they thought or shut it down completely. And just when that pressure reached its peak, that's when everything shifted again. The moment the clips really started circulating, the situation didn't just trend, it detonated. Because now every platform was flooded with takes, reactions, and theories, and Karlissa Saffold found herself at the center of a conversation that was moving faster than anyone could control. What started as a small moment turned into a full-blown online spectacle. And the internet, oh, it went straight into overdrive. People weren't just watching anymore, they were dissecting. Frame by frame, pause by pause, reaction by reaction. Like they were breaking down game footage from the finals. Except this wasn't sports. This was pure internet chaos. Every tiny detail became a talking point. Every movement turned into a theory. And suddenly the timeline looked like a giant investigation board built entirely out of opinions. And came the reaction videos. And that's when things got loud. Creators jumped in with dramatic breakdowns, some adding suspenseful music like they were narrating a crime documentary, while others went full commentary mode, giving opinions with confidence like they were there in person. And just like that, the situation wasn't just a clip anymore, it was content. And content spreads fast. Of course, the internet did what it always does next. It picked sides. One group immediately defended Karlissa Saffold, saying people were reaching, overanalyzing, and turning nothing into something just for clicks. They argued that every moment doesn't need to be turned into drama, and that this was just another example of the internet doing too much. But the other side, they were not convinced. They started pointing out patterns, connecting dots, and building narratives that made the situation feel bigger than what was actually shown. And the more they talked about it, the more people started paying attention. Because curiosity spreads quicker than facts. And then the memes hit. Because once memes enter the chat, you already know it's over. Some people turned the situation into jokes, edits, and viral clips, while others pushed back hard, saying this shouldn't be entertainment, especially if there was something deeper behind it. That clash, it made the whole thing even messier now. The timeline wasn't just reacting, it was arguing. Comment sections turned into debate arenas, with people going back and forth like it was a live show, defending their takes, challenging others, and refusing to back down, because once people lock into a narrative, they stick to it like it's personal. Meanwhile, Blueface kept getting pulled into the conversation, whether directly or indirectly, because everything connected back to him in some way. And that kept the story alive longer than it normally would have lasted. Every repost added more fuel. Every reaction added more noise. Every opinion added another layer. And instead of the situation becoming clearer, it became more confusing. Because now there were multiple versions of the story floating around at the same time. And depending on who you listened to, you'd get a completely different explanation of what happened, which only made people dig deeper trying to figure out what to believe. And through all of this, one thing became obvious. The story had outgrown the moment. It wasn't about what actually happened anymore, it was about how the internet reacted to it, how it spread, and how quickly it turned into something way bigger than it started. And just when it felt like the chaos had reached its peak, something shifted again, because instead of getting clarity, the situation got even more complicated, and that's when everything changed. By the time the noise started to slow down, it didn't actually end. It just changed form, because now the chaos wasn't loud anymore, it was quiet and intense. The kind where the timeline stops yelling and starts watching. And Karlissa Saffold was suddenly under a level of attention that felt less like drama and more like a full investigation unfolding in real time. People weren't just reacting emotionally anymore. They were analyzing everything, replaying clips, revisiting posts, and trying to make sense of what they saw earlier, like they were piecing together a puzzle that never came with instructions. Every detail felt important. Every pause felt intentional, and that shift in energy made the situation feel heavier than before. And no matter what direction things moved in, the narrative had already taken over, because once the internet locks onto a storyline, it doesn't just let go, it stretches it, reshapes it, and builds layers on top of it until it becomes something much bigger than the original moment ever was. Some people started stepping back, questioning whether the situation had been blown out of proportion, pointing out how quickly assumptions turned into facts, and how easily a simple outing became a full-scale controversy just because it went viral. That perspective started gaining traction, slowly shifting the tone from outrage to reflection. But not everyone was ready to let it go that easily. Others doubled down, insisting that something about the situation still didn't sit right, and that ignoring it would mean overlooking details that might matter, even if they weren't fully clear yet. That persistence kept the story alive, even as the overall energy began to cool down. Meanwhile, Blueface remained part of the conversation, because everything tied back to him in some way. And that connection kept pulling the narrative back into the spotlight every time it started fading, like a loop that refused to fully break. New posts continued to surface. Reactions kept popping up, and every now and then, the situation would spike again, reminding everyone that it was still unresolved, still unclear, and still being talked about behind the scenes. And then came the unexpected twist, not in what happened, but in how people started thinking about it. Because instead of asking what happened at the park, people started asking a different question. What did the internet turn this into? That shift changed everything, because now the focus wasn't just on the moment itself, but on how quickly it escalated and how far it spread. That realization didn't end the conversation, it reframed it. Now there were two sides, again one believing the situation had been exaggerated beyond recognition, and another believing there was still more beneath the surface that hadn't been fully revealed yet. And between those two sides, no agreement, no clear answer, just ongoing debate, and that's what made it feel like a real season finale. Not because everything was wrapped up neatly, but because everything was left open, unresolved, and hanging in the air, like the story was paused instead of finished. Because now the situation isn't just about what already happened, it's about what might happen. Next, will more details come out? Will someone speak up? Will the narrative flip again? Because if there's one thing the internet has proven over and over, it's that stories like this don't just disappear. They come back. They resurface, and sometimes they hit even harder the second time around. So the real question now isn't what went wrong at the park. Now listen, if you just sat through all that chaos, confusion, and straight-up internet madness, then you already know this wasn't just a simple park outing. This turned into a full-blown storyline with twists, debates, and enough opinions to crash your entire timeline. And somehow it still feels like we haven't seen the final chapter yet. Because let's be real, situations like this don't just disappear. The internet keeps watching, people keep talking, and every little update can flip the narrative again. Especially when names like Karlissa Saffold and Blueface are involved. So if you blink, you might miss the next moment that sends everything right back into chaos. So go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you money. Hit subscribe like you just found the craziest tea on YouTube. And drop your opinion in the comments right now because I need to know what you think. Was this whole situation blown out of proportion? Or was there actually something deeper going on that people picked up on? Don't just scroll past either, because I already know some of y'all got strong takes ready to go. And this comment section, yeah, it's about to turn into a full debate arena. So speak your mind and don't hold back. And make sure you turn on those notifications, because the second this story heats back up, and trust me, it will, you already know we're pulling up with the breakdown, the updates, and all the messy details the internet is trying to figure out in real time. We don't do boring over here. We don't do quiet. And we definitely don't miss drama. This is Fame Flaws, where the stories hit louder, the tea spills faster, and the internet chaos never sleeps. So stay locked in, stay ready, and I'll catch you in the next one.